My name is Reverend Robert Jones Sr. I'm the pastor of Sweet Kingdom Missionary Baptist Church in Detroit, Michigan. And I've been playing music for about 25 years professionally. I do what I would term holy blues. It's sort of like the idea of blues, but it's blues with a positive message. Sometimes it's gospel, sometimes it's spirituals. Sometimes it's just plain blues, but it's music that has a message behind it. It's first time here at Blues Week here in Port Townsend at Central, and really having a great time here with my wife and meeting some old friends like John Cephas and Phil Wiggins, and meeting some new friends. Just met John Wilkins, Reverend John Wilkins, son of Robert Wilkins, and the pastor of Hunter's Chapel down in Mississippi. So I'm meeting some great new people and seeing some old friends and having a great time. One of the things that's great about being here at a week like this is you've got people making music all over the place. Every time you turn around, you hear music. You hear blues, harmonica, guitar, piano, great voices. You're hearing gospel as well. You're hearing a lot of great American music, and hearing some of the masters of it. I mean, Warner Williams, a walking encyclopedia, walking jukebox. Listening to Lightning Wells and my friend Eleanor Ellis, who I met in Germany a little bit earlier. It's pretty amazing. Not only are the teachers amazing, but some of the students are just equally amazing. So it's a great experience. I've done other music camps, the Yorma Kalkinen's Fur Peace Ranch and Summer Acoustic Music Week, which happens down in New Hampshire at Geneva Point. But this is, again, another form of uniqueness. This one is so much good sort of blues music centering around blues and some of the best artists around that it's just, it's been a great, unique experience. I was telling my wife maybe a couple weeks ago, we were in a car on the way somewhere, and I had Sonny Terry, Brownie McGee on the CD player, and I told her it struck me that when I was a kid, about maybe 10, 12 years old, my grandmother brought home a Sonny Terry, Brownie McGee record, and it had songs like Cornbread Peas and Black Molasses and Walk On and songs like that. And if she had never brought that LP home, I probably would not play the blues right now. She brought this thing home, and she says, this is the kind of music we used to listen to down south. And at first it struck me as being kind of weird, but then I came to love it, and I would play it on my own. And in fact, at one point, my grandmother, when I really got into blues, she said, I don't know why you like blues so much. That's what we moved from down south to get away from. So growing up in Detroit, the ideal was to have music like the Temptations, group music, quartets when I was growing up, quartets, quintets. But I was an only child. So for me, the idea of having music that had the immediacy of blues, where you could pick up a guitar, you could play by yourself, you didn't need a band, even a blues band. I mean, country blues, it was just you and your instrument. That stuff appealed to me, and I started to teach myself how to play. She helped me get my grandmother helped me get a guitar from a pawn shop. And I worked out, 3 chords, and that held me in good stead for about 4 years. And then I got a really boring job. I was going to school at Wayne State University. I got a really boring job working at a radio station. And that radio station, it was a public radio station, had a great music library. Son House, Mance Lipscomb, Blind Boy Fuller, just everybody. And I started listening to the music in my spare time. Then I started trying to play the music. Got an even more boring job at an educational station. And every day there was nothing to do except play tapes and then play the guitar with maybe an hour between the programs. And I just started to sit there, practice, and play. And before I knew it, after about 4 years, this was during the This was during the, I forget if it was the Carter administration, the Ford administration, but I know jobs were hard to come by. By the time I got off of that job, working for that really boring station, I could play pretty decently. Started to host an open mic night in a club in Detroit called the Soup Kitchen Saloon. Learned a lot there by just the musicians who would come in. We had some great musicians in Detroit at that time. There was a piano player named Boogie Woogie Red. There were a couple of brothers from Florence, Alabama, named the Butler Twins. Willie D. Warren was still around in Detroit. A little bit later on, I got to meet and do gigs with Howard Armstrong from Martin, Bogan, and Armstrong. Bogan was still alive. So just got a chance to keep constantly being exposed to more and more of this acoustic music. A friend of mine by the name of Rich Del Grosso, who I understand teaches here sometimes, great mandolin player. Developed a friendship with him and his wife, Maureen. She's passed away since then. But just sort of got into the subculture of blues and kept going in it. So that's, I guess, why I'm able to play now. It's a combination of teaching myself and being exposed to some really great musicians. The advice I would give to somebody trying to learn how to play this music is the advice that John Cephas gave me about 20 years ago. He said, practice, practice, practice. And maybe to that I would add, spend about twice as much time listening as you do practicing. Because there's a lot of great music on record, a lot of great music, due to technology of CDs is available to you now. And the more you listen to the aesthetic of what makes a great blues player or a singer, the better you'll be at it, because you'll start to understand that it's not just in the notes, but it's in actually how you play the notes and how you sing, how you relate to the music that you're playing. My top 3 favorite blues CDs, that's kind of a tough one. I would say that maybe one of them would be Howlin' Wolf's Greatest Hits from the 1950s. One day I was picking up my daughter from school, and I was dressed like a preacher, had on the shirt and tie, may have even had on a collar, and I'm sitting there listening to Howlin' Wolf singing 44 Rifle Blues, and I'm singing along. She's like, Daddy! So that was one. Howlin' Wolf's Greatest Hits. I would say complete recordings of Blind Willie Johnson, and probably Son House's complete 1965 recordings, I think, for Columbia. Those are probably my 3 favorite, but it's a whole lot of great CDs and albums on that list. I was born in Detroit, Michigan, Herman Kiefer Hospital in 1956. I'm told my mother brought me home and put me in a dresser drawer in the kitchenette where they were living. So I'm a Detroit kid. I've lived there my whole life, and I still live there. I think it's a great city. I don't care what anybody says.